Webcasting around the world from the desert metropolis of Phoenix, Arizona, this is The Dividing Line. The Apostle Peter commanded Christians to be ready to give a defense for the hope that is within us, yet to give that answer with gentleness and reverence. Our host is Dr. James White, Director of Alpha and Omega Ministries and an elder at the Phoenix Reformed Baptist Church. This is a live program, and we invite your participation. If you'd like to talk with Dr. White, call now at 602-973-4602, or toll free across the United States, it's 1-877-753-3341. And now, with today's topic, here is James White.
And welcome to The Dividing Line, a mega edition of The Dividing Line. Today, 2 hours. The first hour, we will be providing a response to a video that I viewed I didn't view it. I listened to it just this morning. It was directed to me. I was directed to it, I guess, by a gentleman here in the local Phoenix area who said he did not want a hat tip, so you don't get a hat tip. Fine. Anyway, that's normally how I encounter such materials, is someone drops me a line or an email or a tweet or something in channel and so on and so forth. As I listened this morning to this presentation, I decided that while we had planned a regular dividing line, that I would add an hour because, and we won't finish this today. I honestly think it would almost be oppressive to try to address this subject for 2 full hours. It'd be hard. But what we're going to do is for the first hour respond to a gay Christian presentation. Because last time we talked about Dan Savage, who doesn't claim to be a Christian at all and just simply says the Bible is filled with bull on this subject. That's one perspective. That's one direction that people go. And then you have this perspective, and I think most Christians struggle much more to respond to this perspective, and certainly it is this presentation that has been extremely effective in totally neutralizing liberal Protestantism in regards to homosexuality. You know that your ELCA, PCUSA, United Methodist, Episcopalians, et cetera, your liberals are, as a whole, have completely collapsed. And I think you will hear in this presentation exactly why. As I listened, I was struck by the erudite speech of this young man. Having written a book on the subject of homosexuality, I sort of felt like standing back and saying, sir, did it really take you 2 years to read John Boswell's book? Because I know the sources from which he's drawing his exegesis, which is in fact an eisegesis of the text. But most people listening to this, and I know I posted it on the blog so people could watch it and could listen to it. I think most people who've listened to it have listened to it within a context of not so much listening to hear what other people would hear. I think I should have put that into the blog article. Try to put yourself in the position of someone sitting in that audience and try to understand why it is that on the basis of numbers, we're losing this war. The next generation is buying both Dan Savage and this fellow, even though they're giving completely different argumentation. They're buying them both. What does that tell you? It tells you that most of our fellow citizens are not convinced by rational argumentation. It is appearance. It is emotion. It's not a matter of truth. It's not a matter of consistency. And that's what's going on around us. And so we want to launch into this particular section. And then we'll take a break at the top of the hour. And then the second hour will be a little bit more normal. And I'll be able to mention a certain birthday girl out there, but I don't want to do that in this hour because it just wouldn't seem appropriate to attach these things to this particular subject. So we're going to launch right into it like we always do. Listen, respond, interact, educate, hopefully prepare you, because this is the kind of presentation that I think we need to be very quick to give a clear, compelling, biblically based, non-harsh, non-hateful response to. So let's start listening.
Graciously agreeing to host the event. My name is Matthew Vines. I'm 21 years old, and I'm currently a student in college, although I've been on leave for most of the last 2 years in order to study the material that I'll be presenting tonight. I was born and raised here in Wichita, in a loving Christian home and in a church community that holds to the traditional interpretation of Scripture on this subject. Just to offer a brief outline for this presentation, I'll start by considering...
Now, by the way, I think that Matt's church is not the church he's speaking at. In other words, the one he grew up in is not the same one he's speaking at now. I think it was a different church that would not exactly allow him to stand up front and explain why they're all wrong.
During some of the broader issues and divisions that are behind this debate, and then I'll move to a closer examination of the main biblical texts that are involved in it, and then I'll offer some concluding remarks. The issue of homosexuality, of the ordination of gay clergy, and of the blessing of same-sex unions has caused tremendous divisions in the church in recent decades, and the church remains substantially divided over the issue today. On the one hand, the most common themes voiced by those who support changing traditional church teaching on homosexuality are those of acceptance, inclusion, and love, while on the other hand, those who oppose these changes express concerns about sexual purity, holiness, and most fundamentally, the place of Scripture in our communities.
Now, one of the things that was at least somewhat to be appreciated in this presentation, it's not a fair presentation, an unbiased presentation, obviously. But it is, well, let's just compare it to Dan Savage, and it'll look like it's the model of fairness and balance. But one of the issues that we will be addressing repeatedly in this conversation is, what is love? What is love? What is Christian love? Is love defined biblically the same thing as love defined by our society?